I'm a little late to this. It's harder for me. I'm not a full-time content creator, but I wanted to react to this. I do think there's a weird coalition forming between certain people in the political spectrum and prolific figures. And regardless if they're left and right, what is unifying them is their hatred for Israel. And it's getting kind of weird. And we've been seeing Anna and Jank grifting for a while, but now we're doing this. This okay. I'm gonna try to be good faith in this commentary. Tucker Carlson, Anna Kasparian. Let's see how much Jewish hate we can get in one podcast episode.
Conventional interview with like Putin or the president of Iran, people get mad and they ask, why are you talking to him? This is one of those very rare, maybe unique circumstances where people are going to ask you,
yes.
Why are you talking to him?
Yeah.
And people are going to get mad.
People are going to get very angry. I know. And your producers had been reaching out, trying to get me to talk to you for at least a year and a half. And my feelings toward coming on your show went from I would never in a million years to kind of giving myself the opportunity to listen to your podcast to figure out who you really are. Because of course I had.
Oh, I didn't realize you hated Israel too. Oh, let me chill. Let me relax.
Very strong thoughts about who you are.
Really?
Yeah, but I realized that it was based on clips that I would watch of you that had gone viral. And they had gone viral because they were offensive or you had said something that was
viral, like syphilis is viral.
Pretty much. Okay. I mean, you should think of it that way because it was mostly painting you in a very negative light.
I mean, for obvious reasons, but okay. Why Americans care so much about Jeffrey Epstein. Am I going to watch all of it? Probably not. But I'll watch a good chunk. I'm sorry. It's going to have to be like 1.5 because there's so much.
I mean, decades of propaganda and conditioning in American media. And so to me, that commonality that you and I share made me a lot more open-minded to coming on this show because I do think that America.
I'll go 1.25 for people who are not as poison-brained like me.
It goes against the grain and it goes against the United States being a sovereign country that has politicians and a government that prioritizes the American people as opposed to a foreign government. And speaking out the way you've been speaking out about some of these issues takes a lot of courage because it goes against the grain and it goes against, decades of propaganda and conditioning in American media. And so.
All because of Israel. Like, let's not forget that this guy's been pushing some weird messaging regarding Russia too. Anna, your hatred for come on. Focus. Let me allow it to manifest.
To me, that commonality that you and I share made me a lot more open-minded to coming on the show because I do think that Americans from across the political spectrum need to find areas of agreement, especially as it pertains to making this country better, so we can apply appropriate pressure on our politicians and get them to represent us, regardless of the corruption, regardless of the influence of foreign governments. At the end of the day,
regardless of the corruption, I don't really understand that. Okay.
These politicians are nothing if it isn't. If it weren't for the American people, right? So like right now, what's really interesting is in
That's
Congress,
true.
It appears that there's this bipartisan effort to force a vote to release the Epstein files.
Yes.
And the only reason why that's happening is because there's a very loud and aggressive portion of the MAGA base that's demanding it, and they're not letting it go. And I commend them because I agree with them. I think we need transparency. We need to know whether or not we literally have members in our government or influential people, in the periphery of our government who are pedophiles. I want to know.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I want to know too. And it's good that there is a section, not all of them. There is also another section of MAGA that's saying, who cares about it now? Let's move on. And there's even a section of MAGA that's saying, who cares if he's a PDF? It's very, very strange. But there is a section that is realizing how shady all of this is, and you definitely got to commend them. I do think Tucker Carlson's leaned. I think he wants to be critical of the Epstein files, but also wants to be friends with Donald Trump. So I think he's kind of a little bit of a rat. But
the framework that you laid out, the government of any country ought to be sovereign, which is to say it should make most of its big decisions on the basis of what's good for the people that it represents. And it's bad when foreign countries control your country.
Mm-hmm.
Those don't strike me as hateful statements at all. Those aren't expressions of animus against anybody, are they?
I don't think they're hateful statements at all. I'm an American. I love this country. I love the people in this country. And I don't want to live in this ridiculous like perversion of the American government where they pretend to represent us, but in reality, Americans are on the back burner. Our tax dollars are being taken from us, not to help Americans who need help, but to give all sorts of subsidies to private industries that are already doing really well. Okay, they don't need extra subsidies or tax cuts or things like that. But in addition to that, all the foreign aid that we're pumping into the Middle East, Israel, right? Oftentimes when we talk about foreign aid that goes to Israel, at this point, I believe it's about, $4 billion a year, on top of all of the military aid that we've been pumping into Israel over the last 2 years. I mean, it's unacceptable to me that.
So all the aid we send to the Middle East, and then she says one country, Israel. It's crazy. It seems like her entire political identity centered around her hatred for Israel. I wonder why she has such a disdain for Israel. Is it as simple as powerful government arguably genociding, ethnically cleansing a group of people, and that kind of sympathy towards it? Because I think she talked about before how she relates to it based off her own family lineage. Is that all it is, really? Is that I'm curious to see if she has like the same passion for other locations, but the difference between that and other locations, and so if someone knows in the comment section, feel free to say it, is the United States involvement. But even if the United States is not involved with a quote unquote genocide or ethnic cleansing, regardless, even though you're an American, the morals, the passion should still exist, right? I always question stuff like this. Like, do you only care about it because it's in your face? Do you only care about it because the United States is involved? Or do you actually care about the people? I'm not trying to discount Anna, but I do think that is a worthwhile question to ask. If we're asking the questions on whether or not we should fund Israel, and as of right now, my take is ever since Israel stepped away from the ceasefire, I think, no, we should not be funding Israel. It's very obvious what their intentions are, and the Donald Trump Republican and MAGA administration are pushing for Israel to do as they please. But yeah, this is a worthwhile question.
We're doing that. And in the backdrop of that, you have the United States Congress cutting $1.1 trillion to Medicaid. Really? That's the problem? That's where we need to cut funding from? By the way, also cutting funding to food assistance. How do you justify sending tens of billions of dollars to Israel in the last 2 years alone?
I agree with her big beautiful bill thing. My skepticism is I don't know if Tucker Carlson really cares about anything that doesn't have. I'm gonna let it continue, and we'll see if he agrees.
While targeting cuts to Medicaid and food stamps, it makes me beyond angry. I think it's so unbelievably unjust. And if you speak out about it the way I'm doing right now, I'm sorry, I'm getting like kind of aggressive. If you speak out about it like I am right now, people try to smear you as an anti-Semite. And you know what? I'm not an anti-Semite. I know what's in my heart. And I'm not going to let those smears stop me from saying what I know is correct and what's morally just.
Is it possible that
because I for the most part, I do think Anna is a good person. This Israel stuff is taking a hold of her to the point where she's siding with people who do not have the country's best interest in mind. I don't think you can make the argument that Tucker Carlson has the America's best interest in mind, considering all the crap he has done. But I don't even know if you could say he has he's having a changing of heart necessarily. We'll see, though.
People are slandered in order to prevent conversations like this from happening in the first place. So you said, I was hesitant to come on the show. I mean, the reason we wanted to book you and a bunch of people who work for me had the same feeling, is what you just said. Like, we can disagree on all kinds of things, but if the fundamental orientation is the U.S. government ought to make a good faith effort to improve the lives of Americans, that's not a partisan statement. That's not a crazy out there sentiment at all. And we saw that. It was like, oh yeah. And then you're like, yeah, but he's a Nazi. I can't do the Nazi show.
So you
sort of want, like, I have all kinds of stupid opinions. I've said all kinds of stupid things. I've had ugly opinions in the past. I'm not defending every opinion I have had or even currently have. I'm merely saying to reduce someone to a caricature is a kind of tactic to prevent anyone from having a real conversation with the person.
It's meant to
True, but also if there's enough of the terrible things that you said starts leading to a very common conclusion, then that caricature is an accurate description of the individual that you are. And at this point, all this bitching and complaining about people trying to silence you, you have a big fucking platform. You get invited to all these alt-right media shows. So Anna, you have a big platform too. People are just fucking critical of you. And honestly, Anna, I don't want to hear it because most of the left hates Jewish people too right now. Most of the left hates Israel too. There's actually a very fringe person in the political spectrum. So all this fucking victim mentality that you guys are sharing together, I'm not trying to hear it. Now, I am okay with people being critical of Israel. I want to be very clear about that. Be critical of Israel. But a lot of the comments and a lot of the things I'm seeing, and you always have to be wary of where you're starting to fall into and who you're aligning with, is very disgusting opinions and rhetoric about Jewish people, about Israeli people. Israel's government is one thing, right? Just like how you could be critical of America's government to the point where you said there was corruption in there, but you wouldn't say that corresponds with the American people, right? Then why am I seeing comments about how Jewish people? I saw this on fucking Myron's show recently where this dumbass black bimbo fucking said maybe the Nazis had a reason to do the Holocaust. I saw other comments say, well, maybe the Jewish people should have been sent back to Germany. I think Hassan said recently that people who are like left Israel or American Israel or left Israel or just people who are critical of the government, they're just as bad as like the Israeli government. So cry me a fucking river with your fucking victim mentality bullshit and how you feel like you're, I don't know, you're being treated inappropriately when it comes down to it. Because a lot of the prolific left-wing figures and then a lot of the center-right figures and far-right figures all hate Jewish people. So give me a break, bro.
Credit. And yeah, you're right. It's meant to stop these types of conversations from happening. Now, you are very conservative.
Who's stopping these conversations?
I'm not very conservative. Mm-hmm. I have some views that lean more conservative than progressives feel comfortable with, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, what drives my politics is this desire for everyone to thrive economically. And, you know, you've been speaking out about
how is that? So what is the difference? If I could, I mean, I would hope that would be like everyone's desire. It's not.
It's not, no.
Right, at all. But what does it mean to be, not to get too...
Yeah, like you, Tucker Carlson, you've said a lot of things that are not in the best interest of people, but
philosophically, but what does it mean to be conservative or liberal, like at this point?
Well, I don't think that the political labels that we currently have in this country make much sense anymore, to be honest with you. So
I agree.
I'm talking about like traditional conservatism. You know, I believe in reproductive rights to a point.
Right.
You know, I know that you're anti-abortion.
Big time.
Yeah. So like that's a disagreement we have. Right. And I'm not at all going to like come on the show and capitulate on my beliefs.
Right.
But I think that those are important issues. I'm not minimizing them.
Right.
But I feel that we can't even really engage in a real debate about policy or specific issues unless we know we have we're living in a sovereign country and we have a government that actually has interest in representing us.
Right.
What the fuck does that mean? Wait, what? Well, actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm sorry. I apologize, Anna. You are actually correct. You were actually correct. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Now we're probably not aligned because you probably think Israel controls the government on some bullshit like that. But I'm kind of similar in terms of I'm so focused on MAGA not fucking up my country that I can't really talk about policy. So I think that's where we align.
Because it doesn't really matter otherwise.
Right.
If people keep voting for different things but get the same result.
Exactly.
Then the system is fake. And that's the point where people start to go crazy and do radical violent things, which I'm completely opposed to. I just want to say that at the outset. Yeah. I hate violent radicalism more than anything.
What did this motherfucker say about January 6th? I bet if I looked that shit up, did he condemn January 6th? Yo, let me look this shit up.
And I feel like that's the result of people realizing their system is fake. So you have to make it kind of real.
You're right about that. And, we've been seeing more and more political violence in this country, and it's terrifying.
All right. I said I was going to be good faith, and I'm acting like an asshole. Let me relax a little bit. Continue. I agree that political violence is not good.
I mean, I'm not justifying it, but I can explain why it's happening.
For sure.
And I don't want things to devolve further. And here's the other reason why I decided to come. So I knew that you moved here. You moved to like a rural part of the country. And I live in a big city. And I think that living in a big city and spending most of your time in a big city kind of blinds you to.
So Tucker Carlson went out of his way to undermine January 6th several times. But he's bro, this is why, bro. This is why I can't take this conversation seriously. This is why I can't take it seriously.
The rest of America. A lot of Americans live in rural parts of the country.
Yes.
And I want the opportunity to speak to them, get to know them, understand where their hearts and their minds are at. And so I saw it as an opportunity to expose myself to people that I otherwise wouldn't get an opportunity to speak to. And, I think you've hired drivers to bring people, to where you're at.
It's very far away, yes.
Yeah, the airport's very far. But I love that because they're not they're not Uber drivers.
They're like unemployed loggers and stuff.
No, but they are. And
I know.
I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed having conversations with them. So one of the drivers who picked me up, Jen, she mentioned the big, beautiful bill that just passed. And, I can tell she identifies as Republican and she wasn't happy with that bill. And I suspected that most ordinary working class Americans, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, are not happy with that bill.
Yes.
The $1.1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, that's what she brought up. She brought that up. And I thought that was really fascinating. Now, if you talk to someone who identifies as a liberal Democrat, they'll probably think, oh, these Republican voters, they're so greedy. All they want is tax cuts. They want to cut the social safety net. But no, actually, when it comes to ordinary people, there's a lot of agreement. A lot of agreement. A lot of people are suffering right now. And, you have...
She's correct here. I agree with Anna here. So in a conversation like this, when you have such a good and nuanced opinion that challenges a very specific core of MAGA, because at the head honcho of all of these issues that is being referenced right now is a very specific orange man who has a small wiener, said by South Park. Tucker Carlson can shake his head and agree. But Anna, are you going to challenge Tucker? Are you going to say something that's these are why these conversations are not genuine. You're not willing to say what needs to be said. Tucker, are you critical of Donald Trump for pushing a bill that cuts 1.8 million people off of Medicaid? Tucker, are you critical of Donald Trump for not releasing the Epstein files? Tucker, are you critical of Donald Trump when it comes down to his capitulation to Israel? So what is the value of this conversation if one of the people on the other side of the conversation is not being genuine on what he's saying? And the other person that's having the conversation, she is being genuine, but she's not willing to bring out the truth of the words being said. I can say anything. I've said multiple times, it will be easy to get thousands of views by sucking off Donald Trump or sucking off far lefties like Hassan. It would be a piece of cake. But that's not genuine. That's not who I am. And I will never sacrifice my values in this fake neutrality or, ease of clout. So we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of conversation here. I won't react to everything, but
all these different industries, especially, beginning in the 90s, offshoring, all these jobs that have been destroyed. I mean, most people work in the service sector at this point, and manufacturing jobs are gone. I think that's part of the reason why Donald Trump has.
But that's not true. And that's not true.
Been so appealing to the MAGA base.
Without question.
Right. And so I want ordinary people to just consider.
So I can kind of tell the tone of this conversation. Anna is going to say a few things to praise Tucker and praise Trump, but she won't say anything to criticize Tucker and criticize Trump, because those are the two core things to get in the meat of what this conversation truly represents. And that's just grifting. That is what you're doing. This is a grift. You're grifting for exposure. Oh, that's just tough to see, man.
The contradiction here. So if you're a liberal Democrat and you're under the assumption that Republican voters are just greedy and they want to cut the social safety net, why would they love Trump so much, who ran as an economic populist? Now, I don't think that Trump has carried out his promises because of, well, there's a lot of different examples I can cite, but the most recent is the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Yeah, there are some provisions in there, no tax on tips. It's going to be means tested, and it also expires in 4 years, whereas the tax benefits that disproportionately benefit the wealthy are permanent. The no tax on, the elderly or social security.
I might have to take it back, but she's making the criticism. But if she lands softly and doesn't force Tucker to respond to that,
security, that also will expire, and it's up to a certain amount. I think it's like $6,000 if I'm not mistaken. The child tax credit, I think, was just peanuts compared to what I think this country could afford in helping families. You want to encourage people to have kids?
Yeah.
Okay, best way to do it is to create an economic situation where couples feel comfortable bringing life into this world.
I agree.
I agree to that.
And then no tax on overtime. That's another example. That's also means tested, and that's a provision that will expire in 2028. It's just interesting to see which provisions are permanent and which are set to expire in 4 years when, Trump is done with his term. So if you really want to represent the working class, you got to put your money where your mouth is. And I haven't really seen it to the extent that Trump claimed he was going to help the working class in this country.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Here's a revealing and.
So Tucker's not going to respond. Okay, let me be a little good faith here. Not to Tucker, but to Anna. Her saying this puts these words in front of a new audience. I think it is sometimes she was critical enough, so I think I'm going to take back what I said for not being critical of Donald Trump. There could be a very interesting conversation on, okay, I'm here to expose something very true. I'm not here to challenge the interviewee, but I'm here to challenge his audience. And I think that could, I don't know. I'd really have to think about the substance of that. Let's see if after this little ad that Tucker comes back and responds to anything that Anna says.
To feed your nation. The answer is they have the courage to every single farm's real value.
I have some views that have definitely changed.
So when did you, have your views changed?
I have some views.
Okay. So Tucker Carlson didn't respond to any of that because he couldn't, because he's too much of a coward to criticize Donald Trump. Okay, fair enough. But it's a good thing that Anna put that out. And then Tucker's audience also heard that. So shout out Anna for that one, for sure. Shout out Anna for that one.
Views that have definitely changed. Yeah. I wouldn't say that I swung from far left to far right.
No.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think I can answer the question, so I don't know why I'm asking it of you. But what do the terms mean now? And for whatever it's worth, I've settled on people who are honest, people who lie.
Right.
Tucker, you mean you? People will lie. How radical leftist ideology is destroying California. I don't really care about this. They're probably going to. Okay, let's get to something substantive. Americans do not want to be involved in foreign wars. Okay, this might be interesting because I wonder if she's going to bring up Russia and Ukraine.
Figure out who these people really are. You know, like the speech you gave at Turning Point, you said a few things in there that I might not agree with, but like the overall message was so courageous, and I never thought in a million years I would hear it at a conservative.
So we can agree that this is a grift where you play into the ego of the interviewee so you have access to their audience. Like, it's obviously a grift. But I feel like it's not worth it. I just feel like it's ungenuine. I feel like it's playing politics. And I personally can't do that. If Anna could do that, where she glazes the interviewee so she has access to his audience, fine. I personally can't do that. I have a hard time being ungenuine. If I don't like you, or if I think that you are being ungenuine, I'm going to call you out. I struggle with the concept of this is equivalent to lying. You know, that thing that Tucker Carlson says that he creates two categories for? Yeah, I struggle with that. I can't do the lying stuff. I can't be the dishonest. I am 100% who I am all the time. So I could never do a grift like this. I can never play the politics game because I'll never be anybody but who I am.
Conservative conference. Never.
It's just interesting. Well, I mean, you know, the truth is wherever it is, and you try to recognize it. But I hope I'm going to give you my text, and I want you to text me, if you will, criticism of what you're saying now.
Okay.
Because I want to keep a list of people who are offended by what you're saying, just in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could anyone be offended by what you're saying now?
Yeah. Well, it might not be.
I mean, you're not the criminal here.
Yeah. Well, let me just be honest with you. I think that most people who are going to attack me aren't even going to listen to this interview. It's just the fact that we're having a conversation with each other. But I take offense to people trying to police who I can talk to. In fact, the more they try to police me, the more I want to talk to the person they forbid me to speak to. Honestly, I've always been like that. I've been like that since I was a kid. My mom knows it better than anyone.
It's so childish, but a terrible way to approach that. I mean, if people tell you not to talk to Netanyahu, are you going to go talk to Netanyahu? Of course not, because you think he's a war criminal. So that's a fucking stupid thing to say. I will say this, though, that I'm fine with people having conversations. I just think qualified people have conversations. I've already made that claim before. I'm fine with like people like Mehdi Hassan talking with the far right and exposing them. I'm not fine with the Nelk boys interviewing Netanyahu because they're a bunch of bots who don't know shit. Now, conversations like this can also be valuable because she's saying very truthful things to Tucker's audience, but it reaches that fine line where she's not willing to challenge the interviewee to make him feel good. And that's tough for me.
I'm just a little bit rebellious, and I don't like to be told what to do. I hate it.
And what to think.
Yeah.
And who you can talk to. I mean, that's like that's a core decision. Who do I associate with?
Yeah.
Who are my friends? Who am I having dinner with?
I don't
That's
give a
what we
fuck.
know.
Yeah, totally.
And okay, so you live in the same place. That's also hugely helpful because you can see it over time, the same place.
True.
Like, you know Ventura Boulevard, you've lived near it your whole life.
Right.
So
the dark truth about Gavin Newsom. Oh, she's attacking Newsom now.
And I don't have any idea why that's partisan. I'm interested in the governor. I know the governor of the state.
Mm-hmm.
He's got I know Gavin Newsom. He's got some talent, I think, and charming for sure. But like, what is going on? Is he aware of that? I've asked him, and
You really find him charming?
Well, in a kind of reptilian way. I mean, charming in the sense that his whole life is devoted to winning people over.
Yes,
kind of like Bill Clinton was, and I think he's good at it. But I also think someone said to me the other day, Newsom could pass a lie detector test on saying anything. Like, there's a coldness inside that
he's
allows
a sociopath. I think he's a snake oil salesman. I think he's a liar.
So it's just interesting how they're going to have a whole segment tearing down Gavin Newsom. but not the president of the United States? Unless they do. Let me see. How corporate media. Okay, that's obviously a populism thing that they're both. Will Tucker ever run for president? I'm gonna have to look at that because if Anna says Tucker should run for president, I'm gonna fucking vomit. Backlash Kasparian get after speaking to Glenn Beck. I don't give a fuck. Okay, just a bunch of virtual signaling, centralized power and the rise of a surveillance state. Israel struck. Oh yeah, Israel sucks. Israel sucks. Iranian Christian population. Okay, Israel sucks. Future, the obvious Epstein cover-up. So, all right, we'll watch 2 more segments of this because a lot of this is just normal populist rhetoric that they're both going to agree on. And then let me look at this. What do you mean that Tucker should run for president?
Team.com/Tucker up to 40% off.
Can I ask you something about real quick? So I heard that speech, and by the time I finished listening to it, I thought to myself, he's going to run for president. That was a presidential speech.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's literally the last thing on my mind.
Really?
Like, I would never do that. No, I mean, unless I was like told by a higher power or something. But no, I don't think I'm suited for that. First, I don't want that. I have a lot of happiness and balance in my life. I have a huge family. I'm the oldest male in that family. So I feel like I have a lot of things I'm paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
I have dogs who I really love. So no, like nothing about that is appealing at all. And I've never had any political ambition of any kind. And I have even less now. I mean, I've known a lot of people who've had that job, and it's really hard.
Oh, I would never want it. I would never want it. Are you kidding me? No.
And also the idea that like out of 350 million people, I'm the most qualified to lead.
Well, there's plenty of people who think that.
I don't think that.
Yeah. No, I mean, think that about themselves, obviously.
I do not think that.
Yeah.
What is this conversation? Like, that's why this whole victim mentality of you kind of complaining and about, oh, people are trying to police who I'm talking to you. And then you go on Tucker Carlson's show and go like, man, that sounded like a presidential speech. Like, why are you saying that about Tucker Carlson, Anna? What is going on here? We're losing the plot. I get it. You fucking hate Israel. Well, what are we doing? What is going on? What is going on, man? I just don't know. I don't know what we're doing. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Let me see how this conversation.
Yeah, like Ted Cruz thinks that.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. And they're compensating for something, some of them, I guess. I don't know what you mean, but I'm not compensating for anything. So I have no interest. But here's my question. So you said the media are a huge part of this, which is undoubtedly true.
I think I'm trying to think to myself why we are where we are. Because the political spectrum is kind of all fucked up. And Donald Trump has messed it up. But it's weird to see, or it's interesting to see how Israel and Palestine has messed it up too. Well, because Ukraine and Russia was so obvious, or you think it would be obvious. It's like there's no way people could side with Russia, even though Tucker Carlson kind of sided with Russia. But I digress. But then this Israel-Palestine has broken lefties' brains so much that they believe anybody who also hates with Israel is their ally. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. Let me listen to the final part of this.
It's just important to be honest at all times. And I think that, to the extent you can.
Exactly. Yeah. But just going.
Talking about being a snake and talking about being honest at all times. Tucker Carlson lies all the fucking time. Oh, I can't be good faith with Tucker. And I'm trying to be good faith with Anna. But it's just weird.
Back to the partisan hackery. I was recently on, Abby Phillips' show, and we were talking about the Epstein files and whether or not, they should be released. I'm in favor of releasing them. I think the American people deserve to know.
Obviously.
But there was a conservative guy on the panel who immediately jumped to, well, why did the Democrats do it? And it's like, okay, sure. Why didn't I don't care. I don't care about the partisan stuff. Okay. Democrats didn't run on it. I'm not defending them. I would have liked for them to be the ones who ran on it and actually did it, but they didn't. The one who ran on it, well, Trump didn't necessarily run on it, but he did.
His voters won.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? We're talking about the individual and his administration. Every person that he picked to be a part of his cabinet, including his vice president, including his son, all talked about how they're going to release the Epstein files. Like, what is this qualification for Trump?
Want it.
His voters want it. Members of his administration kept like using the Epstein files as like bait to like entice the base.
All right, maybe. Well, she got that correct. I'll take it back. I apologize. It's just, I don't know. I'm really looking at intentionality and tone, and it just said something how she was ready to kill Gavin Newsom, but some of the way she talks about Trump, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm overthinking it because of how nice she's being to Tucker Carlson, Tucker Carlson is rarely critical of Trump. Maybe that's what it is.
And then also at the same time, while Trump might not have ran on it, he did use the Epstein files to attack Democrats like Bill Clinton, right? So you're drawing attention to that, and you're making the release of the Epstein files a lot more desirable to your base. To then turn around and engage in this like weird, what I believe to be a cover up, not a good look at all. So when we're having this discussion about what's happening at this very moment, and the Republican guy immediately goes to Democrats bad, it's like, okay, I know the Democrats are bad. Let's talk about this moment right now where promises were made, but promises are not kept when it comes to this specific issue.
Or the story itself. I mean, one of the problems with partisanship is it obscures the actual issue that I'd like to know more about. And so the Epstein thing, from my perspective, has been long known, almost 20 years. The guy was a pervert and was involved in apparently a really significant sex ring, with some underage girls in it. So the whole thing is gross. We knew that. But what is it? Big picture, what is it? Where did the money come from? No one can answer that question.
Yeah, how did he make his money? How was he so wealthy?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, why did Les Wexner give him so much
and
money?
Leon Black, what is that?
What's going on? Yeah, I know.
So what do you think the answer is?
I think he was an intelligence asset. That's my suspicion. Period.
Doing
Are they gonna? I feel like they're about to bring up Israel again. It's so interesting how Tucker talks. He just refuses to bring up Donald Trump's name. He just refuses. It's like he's very vague with it. I mean, I know why, but I think he said something recently. I might pull it up after this, where he said something about Donald Trump and how he doesn't believe Donald Trump is responsible or something like that. I'll bring that up after this.
What? Blackmailing?
Yeah, I think it was a blackmail operation. Why were there cameras in the rooms where girls were being raped? What did he do with that footage? What was the point of that footage?
I have no cameras in any bedroom in my house.
Neither do I.
Normal people don't.
Right. He had relationships with people that were in intelligence. Obviously Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, was a hardcore Zionist and worked for Mossad. This is well documented.
Yeah, I don't think anyone disputes that.
And he introduced Ghislaine to Jeffrey Epstein. The fact that Jeffrey Epstein was a college dropout, but Bill Barr's father, who worked for the OSS, hired him to be a math teacher at the Dalton School, which is a prestigious school that would only hire prestigious teachers. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't that. He wasn't a prestigious teacher. He dropped out of college. I don't know. There's just a lot of smoke, and it's like
dropping out of college doesn't necessarily mean you're not smart, but I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, whatever. It doesn't matter.
To distrust in our institutions. It's led to a lot of suspicions. And I would like to know, and I think this is very important, whether we live in a sovereign country where our politicians are actually representing us, or if we're living in a situation where a foreign country might have blackmail on our politicians or people in positions of power. And as a result, that blackmail is being used to force these politicians to pursue policies that are not beneficial to the American people, but beneficial.
So Anna's full on Israel controls the government. Israel controls our politicians. Israel controls us to the point where we're sending them money. Anna's gone. She's gone. It's GG's. That's unfortunate. I thought she was before her brain broke because of Israel. I thought she made a lot of good points for the most part. Let me look up that thing I was talking about in terms of Tucker Carlson. Because it just tells you, it tells you such a big. It kind of, this is why this conversation is so weird to me. So I found what I was talking about, or at the very least, a version of what I was talking about. And he was talking to a guy
never
from
thought that I would be offering.
Talking to a guy from Breaking Points, and I'm gonna be very clear. I'm fine with you talking to Tucker Carlson. I'm not for, like, you can't talk to anybody. I already explained that. It's just like, if you're gonna talk to Tucker, don't just capitulate. Talk to Tucker. Challenge Tucker. Get on his answers from Tucker. That's all I'm
An
asking.
apology to Jeffrey Epstein. I think of all the times I've maligned that guy, all the times I've accused him of crimes, of blackmailing people, of trafficking children to powerful figures around the world on behalf of global intel services. And then I learned yesterday from Attorney General Pam Bondi that's totally untrue.
Yes. Yeah.
The guy killed himself after 36 days in prison for no reason. He was a billionaire. He had no clients. He'd done nothing wrong other than get like naughty massages 20 years before. And the guy killed himself. Another pointless death. And then his best friend, former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, doing 20 years in prison for no crime. There are no victims.
Yes, it's a victimless crime. They're obviously persecuted by the state.
Yes.
They're political prisoners.
Under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes, very serious crimes by their own description.
Mhm.
Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only two potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another. The first is that Trump is involved, that, Trump is on the list, that they got tape of Trump doing something awful. I don't believe that for two reasons. One, I've talked to Trump about it a lot. He's not that, for whatever his sins, I don't think he's that guy, actually.
You talked to Trump, so you don't think he's not that guy? And the same guy that said he would fuck his own daughter? The same guy that was doing weird, like, swimsuit competitions for, like, underage girls? The same guy who had so many photos of him, Epstein, and young women? Hey, I'm not saying... No, fuck it. I don't know what you know about Trump that doesn't indicate the same guy that cheats on his wife, the same guy that's a sexual deviant. I don't know, man. You talk to the guy a lot. This is what happens when you're friends with Trump. You're blind to who Trump really is.
I don't think he likes creepy sex stuff. That's just my view. But more, I
Right. Sure.
think convincing is that this is all information that the Biden administration had. And if there was evidence that Trump had been involved in illegal sexual activity, you think the people who made up Russiagate wouldn't have leaked it?
Right.
Come on now. So the only other
They never made up Russiagate. Not at all. That was all proven. But shout out Tulsi Gabbard for trying to throw a red herring.
explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story, U.S. and Israeli, and they're being say that thousands of children were raped, but I'm not going to find out who raped them.
Yeah.
How can you say that?
I agree completely.
They said that. By the way, when Pam Bondi went on television and said, I have a videotape of kids getting...
So that's what I was referring to before, that's my kind of issue. And even this guy, I don't know, I haven't watched his episode, but he didn't really challenge some of the things he was saying. I think for the most part, if a Democrat is on there, I don't give a fuck that Democrats send them in prison. Even if my favorite basketball player of all time, Kobe Bryant's on there, then GG's. My favorite basketball player right now is Steph Curry, or my favorite football player, Patrick Mahomes. Denzel Washington. It doesn't matter who it is. If they're on there, if there's evidence, throw them in jail. The thing is, though, utilizing that as a criticism on why we shouldn't release it is stupid. And using that as a criticism, well, the Democrats have had it all the entire time, why didn't release it, is also stupid. I think there is very strong possibility that there is a lot of incriminating evidence on very influential people. That is one way to look at it. One of those influential people includes Donald Trump. So if they expose Donald Trump, they would have to expose everybody. And then the another thing to look at or is that there is no incriminating evidence of this kind of, blackmail scheme against influential figures. All the evidence is just Jeffrey Epstein beat a fucking creep, which is also a very strong possibility. So my thing is very simple. Release what you have. I don't give a fuck who's on it. Just release it. Don't try to doctor it. Do not try to take information out. Obviously take away the sex stuff with the underage girls. Take that out. But release the names, release the conduct, release the inappropriate behavior up until, and whoever's on it, well, it is what it is. You went to the island. I don't give a fuck. And another thing that I would say is that, oh man, what was the other thing? The reason why I don't care when MAGA says, well, the Democrats had it. You motherfuckers use this as a means to campaign, and you use it as a means to detract from the Biden administration. So y'all use this to criticize Biden, and then you used it to get Donald Trump voted in. You have no fucking moral high ground to stand on here. So that's all I got. With that said, let me know what you guys think about the conversation. I do think Anna Kasparian is just softballing to people who hate Israel. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. So with that said, hope you guys enjoyed. You have a good one. Take care. Peace.